if you are in need of a pick-me-up, receiver is definitely where you want to be looking this week. There's actually some talent there. My top wide receiver pickup this week, the Bengals' Tyler Boyd. He's still available in 76% of ESPN leagues. He leads the Bengals in both receiving yards and routes run this year, ahead of A.J. Green. And with Green nursing an injury, Boyd could be even more involved in the passing attack in Week 4. You know Tyler Boyd is the number 7 receiver in fantasy over the last 2 weeks, and he has a good matchup this week against a banged-up, beat-up, brutal Falcons defense. Speaking of those Falcons, another top wide receiver pickup, Calvin Ridley. The first-round pick broke out in a huge way last weekend, still available in over half of ESPN leagues. On Sunday, Calvin Ridley became the first rookie wide receiver with 3 touchdowns in a game since Odell Beckham. You may have heard of him, who was a top 10 receiver as a rookie, incidentally. Ridley has increased his targets every game from 2 to 5 to 8 in Sunday's breakout game against the Saints. And that's good news because Ridley averages the most fantasy points per target out of any wide receiver with at least 15 targets this year. Oh, and by the way, Calvin Ridley isn't the only receiver who shouldn't just be picked up this week. Yeah, John Brown has been consistently productive in every game this year with the Ravens, scoring more than 13 fantasy points all 3 weeks. He's got 19 targets over the last 2 weeks. He's got a good combination of target share and big playability. To recap, Boyd, Ridley, Brown, my top 3 wide receiver pickups, all available more than 50% of ESPN leagues. And the Chargers' Mike Williams now has 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, double-digit fantasy points in every game they played so far this year, and there's still room for more upside because he's playing fewer snaps than Tyrell Williams. I expect that to change. And finally, how about Antonio Callaway? Talented rookie, targeted 10 times last week, could have big upside now that Baker Mayfield is under center for the Browns. We like to have some fun on this show, right? I mean, we have our injury minions, like Marcello. We have a failed comic who's half man, half bear, and delivers bad news. We have an angry straw who calls me a bum. We have my puppet boss, Norby. And we even have Daniel, Secret Squirrel, our most ridiculous puppet of all. But even on this show, we still have to follow some rules and norms of television and fantasy football. For example, when talking about players to add on the waiver wire, the rule is you only discuss players available in more than 50% of ESPN leagues. But, guys, the pickings are so slim on the waiver wire at running back this week, I'm breaking the rule. I'm a rebel, Dottie, a loner. Look, you have to add Aaron Jones. He's available in 48% of leagues, and if he's out there in yours, he's got to be the number 1 waiver wire add at running back this week. I've been talking about him all preseason. I've been talking about him the last couple of weeks, and he finally came back from suspension last week, averaged 7 yards a carry. Okay, that was just on 6 carries. Jones is still stuck in a committee situation in Green Bay, playing just 16 snaps last week, but he has the best chance from among Jamal Williams and Ty Montgomery to become the guy. Williams, he's only averaging 3.7 yards per rush in his career. He didn't, wait for it, run away with a job in the first 2 weeks without Aaron Jones. Meanwhile, Aaron Jones averaging 5.6 yards per carry in his career, the most by any running back with at least 85 carries in that span. And on Sunday, in a game when the Redskins were dominating, I'd like to add, he averaged 7 yards per carry on 6 attempts. He is by far the most talented running back on that team in his career. Jones averaging 1 run of at least 15 or more yards every 9.7 carries. He's explosive, okay? And I don't think the Packers can ignore that much longer. I understand they like Jamal Williams better in pass protection, but Aaron Jones is such a special player and could be amazing in this lineup. Maybe there's somebody in your league that does have him if he's not available, and try to make a trade for him because I do believe it's a matter of when, not if, he becomes the starting running back of the Packers. Okay. So Aaron Jones is way up high for me, right? In terms of the waiver wire and the rest of the crop, way down here. I mean, just look at the drop-off after Aaron Jones. Buck Allen, only averaging 2 yards per carry, but his usage in the passing game and the red zone, he keeps vulturing Alex Collins, have actually made him a top 11 running back this season. I do believe the red zone work will continue for Buck Allen. Colts running game is a mess, but I mean, Marlon Mack is the most likely guy to be their lead back when he's healthy. He did get 10 touches in that one game that he came back. Theo Riddick, 5th among running backs in receptions this season, and LeGarrette Blount did have 16 carries last week, but you'd have to be pretty desperate to start him, especially in a PPR, especially considering the emergence of Kerryon Johnson. What can I say, America? It's ugly at running back this week. So look, you guys know, I'm a positive person. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I mean, you look at this glass of water, and what I see is Really, guys? I had a random staffer fetch me something, and this is what you give me? What are you guys doing? Come on. Like, who did this? You know I prefer my glasses to be half full of water.
Sorry, Mr. Barry.
Yeah, you're fired, Brian, okay? Go fire yourself or something. It's ridiculous. It's outrageous. That's all I want. Glass of water half full. So in that spirit of positivity, I want to talk to you about the tight end waiver wire this week. You know, all 4 of the tight ends at the top of my waiver list this week have outscored the best tight end of our era, Rob Gronkowski, over the last 2 weeks. Incredible, right? I mean, it's an amazing crop of players. All right, so real talk here for a second. Gronk's actually been kind of awful in fantasy the last 2 weeks. 6 catches, 66 yards, no touchdown. So if I'm being truthful, being better than Gronk over the last 2 weeks, actually not all that impressive. But again, I'm trying really hard to be positive here.
Here's your half-full glass, Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Brian. I thought you fired yourself.
Okay.
Go away.
Sorry.
I want to see someone different next time. All right. So, yeah, it's been a rough go of it so far this year at the tight end, or in just getting me a glass of water. Look, the top tier is performing. Kelsey's tight end 1, Ertz tight end 3, Gronk. Even with a slow start, he's tight end 6. But after Kelsey, most of the tight ends drafted as starters, they've struggled this season. If you're looking for help on the waiver wire, or you just have Jordan Reed on a bye, good luck, okay? The pickings are slim. Here are my top 4. As always, all these guys available in more than 50% of ESPN leagues. Tyler Eifert, currently healthy. Remember, he led all tight ends in touchdowns back in 2015. He has seen his targets rise each week so far this season, and that revamped Bengals attack, once again, currently healthy. He's my top tight end waiver claim this week. After him, how about Will Dissly? Okay, last week used more as a blocking tight end than a receiving weapon as the Seahawks recommitted to the run. But we're talking about slim pickings. Remember, only 3 other tight ends have scored multiple touchdowns this year as the Seahawks look to other guys outside of Doug Baldwin with him on the shelf. Here's the rest of the bunch. Dallas Goedert probably has the most long-term upside of this group, and he showed that last week. 7 catches, he played 53 snaps. Talking about a banged-up receiving core, they're looking for more options there in that passing attack of Philadelphia. And, of course, if Zach Ertz ever missed time, Goedert would immediately become a top 10 fantasy tight end. And then how about Ben Watson? Doesn't have a high ceiling, but he has at least 3 catches in every single game. His targets have gone up each week. It's a very passing attack. And you know what? He qualifies as a tight end. There you go. Lots of positive stats about Ben Watson. For all the latest fantasy football news and analysis, you can binge watch all the episodes of the Fantasy Show right now on ESPN+.